I'm pretty sure you know a man who explodes over almost nothing. A slammed door because dinner was 5 minutes late. A raised voice over a missed pass in a game he isn't even playing in. Maybe that man is you. Therapists who study this have found something that sounds backward until you see it clearly. The angriest men are, overwhelmingly, the saddest ones. Not instead of angry, underneath it. By the end of this, you might be able to see what's under the anger in most men, including yourself, and you will have one specific thing you can do about it. Therapists have a name for this pattern, the anger iceberg. Anger is the tip. It's the only part anyone else ever sees. Underneath it, submerged and unnamed, is the actual cargo: shame, fear, grief, exhaustion, rejection. Anger isn't usually the first feeling that shows up. It's the second one, the one that arrives to do something about the first. The switch happens because sadness feels like sinking. Fear feels like exposure. Anger feels like power. So the brain does something almost automatic. It converts the feeling that makes you small into the one that makes you feel, for a moment, big. There's a real chemical behind that feeling of power. Anger triggers a hit of norepinephrine, a natural painkiller. For a few seconds, rage genuinely dulls the hurt underneath it. That relief is exactly what makes it addictive, and exactly what makes it a trap. Consider how this manifests in public figures. Behind an exterior of absolute invincibility, Dwayne Johnson has candidly detailed his secret battles with depression in interviews. Similarly, Ernest Hemingway was notoriously difficult and combative, yet his family later revealed that he was deeply broken inside. In Hollywood, Marlon Brando was famous for his volatile outbursts on set, but his private writings ultimately exposed a profound, enduring isolation. Even boxing legend Mike Tyson, who terrified opponents as a dominant force for a decade, later confessed that he was intensely lonely throughout that entire era. Nobody is born converting sadness into rage. It gets built in, on purpose, starting in childhood. Boys don't cry. Man up. Shake it off. Studies on perceived leadership find that an angry man is read as strong and competent. A sad man is read as weak. So even as adults, most men keep getting quietly rewarded for the mask and quietly punished for the truth underneath it. Many men reach adulthood having become highly skilled at concealing their true emotions. As a result, everything else gets buried beneath the surface, never to be revealed. The mask doesn't just sit quietly on the surface. It costs the body directly. Suppressed emotion tends to come out somewhere else, if it doesn't come out as words. Headaches, chest tightness, a stomach that never quite settles, a back that stays tense for no clear reason. It costs relationships too, in one of two directions. Some men go what therapists call one-up, controlling, dismissive, always right, because being wrong feels like the shame returning. Others go one down, anxious, clinging, desperate for reassurance they can't quite ask for directly. Both of these are the same wound, wearing a different coat. One is armored and cold, one is armored and clinging. Neither one is anywhere near the actual feeling underneath. Conventional methods for screening depression were designed around traits typically observed in women, such as crying, low energy, and explicit expressions of hopelessness. However, depression in men generally manifests differently. Instead of those traditional signs, it frequently presents as irritability, engaging in risky behavior, alcohol consumption, and burying oneself in work as a way to avoid feeling anything altogether. Because this version of depression so often goes unrecognized, it goes untreated. And when it finally does surface as a crisis, it tends to be more lethal, not less, than the version doctors are trained to look for. Researchers have actually built a separate screening test for this exact pattern, and in early studies, a single cutoff score on it caught the vast majority of men who had recently attempted suicide. That is not something to be overlooked. That is the entire argument for taking a man's anger seriously as a symptom, If you or someone you know is struggling with this, you can dial or text 988 in the US or find your local line at findahelpline.com. That resource is worth having whether or not you ever need it. Here's the part of this that isn't a tragedy, because this pattern is genuinely reversible, and two very public examples prove it. In 2018, an NBA All-Star named DeMar DeRozan posted a single word to millions of followers: depression. No explanation, no caveat. Just the word, from a man whose entire public identity was competitive intensity on the court. Days later, another All-Star, Kevin Love, wrote an essay describing a panic attack in the middle of a game, and the exact conditioning underneath it. A father who taught him early that showing weakness got you nowhere. Neither man's career ended. Neither man disappeared. If anything, both are remembered now for something more useful than a highlight reel. They said the actual word in public, and the sky did not fall. There is also a real tested treatment for the underlying pattern. It's called alexithymia reduction treatment, and it's short. 6 sessions, built entirely around learning to name a feeling with the same precision you'd use naming a play. It works less like therapy and more like learning a language you were never taught. Anger is very rarely the actual problem. It is the fire alarm, not the fire. The fire is shame, or fear, or grief, and it was there first. Here is the one thing you can actually do with this, starting the next time it happens. The next time you feel that flash, before you say anything else, pause. Take 3 breaths and ask yourself one question, out loud if you can manage it, even alone in the room. If this isn't anger, what is it? Then name the actual word: sad, scared, embarrassed, tired. Whatever it is smaller and more honest than the anger standing in front of it, and naming it before you react changes what happens in the next 10 seconds. That's the whole practice. It costs nothing, and it works better the more times you do it. Tell me in the comments the word that's usually hiding under your anger, not the anger itself, the thing underneath it. Thanks for sticking to the end, and I hope this helped you in some way. Until next time, cheers.